Hello, Grots and Gits. This detachment freaking rocks. Grey Knight players rejoice. This thing's awesome. You are keeping a lot of the same things from your previous detachment, but you're getting a lot of really new stuff as well. This solves a lot of the reliability problems with a lot of your units, and I think if you're not at least kind of happy with this, I think you're a lunatic. This is pretty dang cool. Let's break it down because Grey Knights just got buff, baby. All right. If you want all of the super hot takes about all the initial list building, you should hop in the Discord in the members only section, which is you can join by becoming a YouTube member or a coffee member in the link down below. But let's just break down this freaking detachment for ourselves right now, and hopefully I'll be able to be back later tonight with some lists that we've come up with to get you guys started. So first things first, the Warpbane Task Force, the detachment rule is called the Hallowed Ground. And the Hallowed Ground is going to function very similarly to some other mechanisms we've seen, say with Chaos Demons or with Canoptic Court Necrons. That's this field of control concept. All right, first off, your deployment zone is always going to be within your army's Hallowed Ground. Then the area of the battlefield within 6 inches of one or more purifier squads from your army is within your hallowed ground. Now, interestingly enough, it says within 6 inches of one or more purifier squads, not wholly within, which is very, very sneaky. Then, at the start of any phase, if you control at least half of the objective markers within No Man's Land, then until the end of that phase, No Man's Land is your army's hallowed ground. Then, lastly, at the start of any phase, if you control at least half of the objective markers within your opponent's deployment zone, it is also going to be within your army's hallowed ground. Now, what do you get for having hallowed ground? Well, you get something super, super cool. Basically, each time a model in a Grey Knights unit from your army makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. If that unit is a purifier squad and is wholly within your hallowed ground, you get to reroll the hit roll instead. So what does this mean? It means everything in your army is always going to be rerolling hit rolls of 1, which is just a great baseline rule. And then if you're within the hallowed ground, so anytime you're in your deployment zone, if you control half of the objectives in No Man's Land, or if you control your opponent's home field objective, then you're going to get full hit rerolls on everything. I can tell you right off the bat, Nemesis Dread Knights freaking love this. Now, one thing that you're going to notice in this detachment rule is they really, really call out specifically the Purifier squad. Purifiers are going to get a lot of extra bonuses in this detachment. So that's just should clue you into something that you're going to notice right away. You're 100% going to be taking Castellan Crow. He also gets additional bonus as well. So interestingly enough, you have to be wholly within your hallowed ground in order to get this benefit. I'm a little bit interested in the wording here, though, because if you're within 6 inches of your Purifier squad, that counts as hallowed ground. So if you're within 6 inches of your Purifier squad and you're outside of a hallowed ground, I think you still count as wholly within hallowed ground as long as you're just within 6 of your Purifier squad. Very fascinating the way that's worded. And it might need a little rules lawyering to iron that out, but it is super, super interesting. Now let's read some of these enhancements. I do think some of these enhancements are quite good, and some of them are kind of like but we've got some spicy stats along with an amazing detachment rule. And just for those of you who are forgetting, the uppy downy part of Grey Knights is the army rule, not the detachment rule. So what you're trading out from the previous detachment to this one is you're trading out the auto 6 advances, but you're still uppy downy with all your units because that's the army rule. So this is a very, very strong detachment rule to go with an insane army rule. So let's get through some of these freaking enhancements. The first one is Manjulin Reliquary for 20 points. Grey Knights model only. While the bearer's unit is not battle shocked, add 3 to the bearer's objective control. Okay, plus 3 to your OC for a single model for 20 points. That sounds awful. Let's move on to the next one. We have a Radiant Champion. This one's bonkers. Grey Knights infantry model only. The bearer's melee weapons have the precision ability. Very cool. Means you never have to spend CP on precision. And while the bearer is wholly within your army's hallowed ground, each time a melee attack made by the bearer scores a wound, the target of that attack suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any other damage. So if I wound you 4 times, you're also taking 4 mortal wounds. This is very, very strong, extremely powerful ability. I think this enhancement is very, very good, and there's no way you're not taking it. Then we're going to have the File of the Abyss. The File of the Abyss for 25 points. Grey Knight infantry model only. Models in the bear's unit have stealth. Stealth rocks. Anyone who says stealth is not good is wrong. Stealth is a really good ability. I'm not sure if it's if you're always going to fit this in for 25 points, just seeing as Grey Knights are relatively expensive as is. But honestly, stealth is pretty freaking good. So It's certainly something to consider, no doubt about it. All right, then lastly, we have the Paragon of Sanctity for 10 points. This goes on a Grey Knights model only. Once per battle, at the start of any phase, the bearer can select one friendly Grey Knights unit within 18 inches and visible. And if it does, until the end of the phase, that unit counts as being within your army's hallowed ground. This is actually very, very important. If you are within your hallowed ground, you get to reroll full hit rolls. This could be really, really useful for an early turn where you're trying to drop a Nemesis Dread Knight to actually be able to be reliable with its shooting. There's quite a few reasons why I could actually see doing this, and for 10 points, I think I respect this ability. You can also put this on, say, a Grandmaster and Nemesis Dread Knight armor. There's a lot of things that you can do with this. This is a very, very interesting enhancement. I think it's going to go really well. So right off the bat, when we read all of the enhancements and we read all of the detachment rule, we know for a fact that a couple units just absolutely love this freaking detachment. We know Terminators like it because Terminators, at least in melee, when they hit on 3s, that can be a little iffy. So now they get to reroll the hit rolls. We know Nemesis Dread Knights freaking love it because one of the worst things in existence is when your Nemesis Dread Knights start unloading with their good shooting and they roll like 4 2s. So this is very, very good for those style units as well. Actually, weirdly enough, I think your Servitors love this detachment because now your Servitors with all their Meltas and multi-Meltas, you could just drop those out for really cheap, giving yourself some actual better high-ish strength shooting that is reliable. So I actually think Servitors really like this detachment, which is kind of weird to think about, but it's not necessarily a bad call, to be honest with you. Yeah, I think maybe even a bare bones basic land raider. How does that work in this detachment? Like, because realistic, a bare bones normal 240 point land raider with a God Shatter last cannons that just always has full rerolls to hit. It's really not a bad choice either. Redeemer is obviously still a better land raider, but it's also 45 points more. So it's like, I don't know, man. There are some interesting options that this detachment gives us. Let's break down some of these strats because these strats are pretty freaking great, and I think they're awesome. I'm not sold that everything is better than the original detachment because, you had Miscedamus, which was insane. But there's some good stuff here too. So let's break it down. We have first off the Sanctified Kill Zone. Now, this is going to happen in your shooting or the fight phase. One Grey Knights unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight and is wholly within your hallowed ground. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, re-roll a wound roll of 1 or full wound re-rolls if you're a Purifier squad. So basically, effectively what this means is that any Purifier squad you have will always be full rerolls to hit and full rerolls to wound, assuming that you're going to spend 1 CP on it, because they're always going to be full rerolls to hit with Purifier squads, since they always count as wholly within your hallowed ground. And then for 1 CP, you can give them full wound rolls. This is very, very spicy. It happens in shooting and the fight phase. You're going to be wanting the Purifier squads here. And then, honestly, just for a lot of your other models, having reroll wound rolls of 1 is not a bad option. Is not really, really a bad C strat either. But it's definitely glows when it's on the Purifier squad. Next off, we have the Fires of Covenant. This is 1 CP. At the start of your opponent's movement phase, 1 Grey Knight's infantry unit from your army until the end of the phase, each time an enemy unit is set up or ends a normal, advance, or fallback move within 6 inches of your unit, roll 1d6. Add 2 to the result if you're wholly within the hallowed ground, and on a 4-up, that enemy will suffer D3 mortal wounds. This is a really cool and interesting way just to punish your opponent for being somewhere. You could just plop your unit in a place where your opponent just has to move through, and suddenly his entire army can take D3 mortal wounds on a 4-up or on a 2-up if you are within your hallowed ground, which you'll always try to set this up so you're within your hallowed ground. And remember, Purifiers are always within the hallowed ground. So this is a very, very interesting stratagem that can really punish an opponent just for playing the movement phase. I think I like it a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of utility there. It's a little bit interesting because it probably means that unit is then going to die. But realistically, it's almost just okay. Then we have Flames of Sanctity. Flames of Sanctity is going to be 1 CP. And you get to use it at the end of the fight phase, meaning your fight phase or your opponent's fight phase. 1 Purifier squad from your army that was eligible to fight this phase. Roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of your unit, adding 1 to the result if that includes Castell and Crow. And on a 4-up, that enemy suffers D3 mortal wounds. So what you can see right now is that this army spits out mortal wounds like it's no one's freaking business. You can be dropping tons of mortal wounds in the movement phase. You could be dropping tons of mortal wounds in the fight phase. And then there's still Grey Knights, so you could also have, I don't know, Grey Knight librarians that are also just spitting out mortal wounds everywhere. This army is a machine gun for mortal wounds, and it's pretty scary. Got to be honest with you, it's pretty scary. So then we have the Aegis Eternal. When your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, target one Grey Knight's infantry unit from your army that was selected as a target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks, they get a 4-up invulnerable save. So 1 CP, 4-up invulnerable save. Now, a lot of times this won't be quite as useful, seeing as all your Grey Knight units already have a 2-up armor save and cover is very abundant. But you're getting shot by multi-meltas, you're getting shot by las cannons, and for some reason you don't have armor, you don't have whatever it's called. It's pretty darn solid just to give yourself, hey, listen, I do have an invulnerable save. I'm gonna try to screw up your shooting. I just don't think this. While this is a great stratagem, and I think most armies would kill to have this stratagem, I'm not so certain that it's the best stratagem for Grey Knights, just because they're already super high armor save, and all their Terminators and Paladins already have the invuln anyway. But you know, it's a nice thing to have. Suddenly your strike squads survive way more than they should have, and yeah, there's that. And you might want strike squads because of the next stratagem, which is bonkers good. Bonkers good. All right, Hallowed Beacon, 1 CP. When the reinforcement step of your movement phase, let me scroll down so you can see the rest of it. One Grey Knight's infantry unit, excluding Terminator units, that is arriving using the deep strike or teleport assault abilities. You deep strike or you teleport assault, you strike, you land 6 inches away from your opponent. Here's the deal, guys. I do believe this makes me think that it's true about how GW is getting rid of the 3-inch deep strikes, but there's one really important wording that is missing in the stratagem, which makes this stratagem incredible. Set up your unit wholly within your army's hallowed ground and more than 6 inches horizontally away from all enemy units. Guys, it doesn't say any restriction on charging, so you can deep strike 6 inches and charge. Damn, that's good. That's real good. Really, really strong. Now, you can't necessarily do it with your Terminators, but you've got a lot of other units in your army that can. This is spicy. It's also, in particular, it's a really spicy way to deliver a character who might have the Radiant Champion enhancement for a bunch of more mortal wounds in melee. This is freaking awesome, and yeah, I think that's an amazing strat, and there's a lot of armies that would kill to have that. Now we have the Repelling Sphere for the last stratagem. When start of your opponent's charge phase, target one Grey Knight's infantry unit from your army until the end of the phase. Each time an enemy unit declares a charge and your unit is one of the targets of said charge, subtract 1 from charge rolls, or subtract 2 if your unit is wholly within your army's hallowed ground. Now, charge modifiers is big. It can be a world of difference. Suddenly your opponent is trying to make that critical 9-inch deep strike charge, and you're like, actually, it's an 11-inch deep strike charge. This is a big deal. Honestly, this detachment has some really, really, really sick things in it. You no longer have Stratagems, but you still get to control movement because you just cause mad mortal wounds in the movement phase. You lost the Sigil of Exigence, and that's true, but now you can deep strike 6 inches away and charge. Like, there are just, oh my gosh, Hallowed Beacon. Wait, no, okay, it won't work with Caldor Drago. All right, because because Paladins do have the Terminator keyword. So still, Hallowed Beacon's freaking great. So only like strikes, inceptors, things like this, purifiers. This is just a freaking solid ass detachment. There are a few things that I think we will probably miss from the other Grey Knights detachment, and you're not missing it. I mean, you can still play the other Grey Knights detachment. It's not like that's gone, right? This is just a new way to play it. Like, you're gonna miss your Sigil of Exigence, and you're gonna miss your Stratagems. But everything else in this detachment is spicy. If you've ever been super concerned about being able to cause damage with Grey Knights, this is your answer. You get way more damage output in this. The mortal wound is just insane. I think this is awesome, and I can't wait to see it on the tabletop. Until next time, crop on, baby. This has been a good little crop and skip right here. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. Have a great day. Bye.